All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you would rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pray with me if you'd like to. Dear Lord, as we gather this evening, we're reminded that leadership is both a privilege and a responsibility. Moments like these shape the direction of our community, and we do not take lightly the opportunity to serve the residents of St. Lucie County. Lord, bless this board with steady judgment, open minds, and respectful dialogue. May their decisions be guided by wisdom, fairness, and a genuine desire to improve the lives of the people they represent, both now and in the years ahead. May we all remember that even the smallest actions taken here can have lasting impacts on our community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To start off this evening, we do have a presentation by our Infrastructure Surtax Committee, the annual report. Chris, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Chris Lestrange, Assistant Public Works Director. We're happy to present the annual infrastructure sales tax report from the Citizens Oversight Committee this evening. The Citizens Oversight Committee was formed as required by the 2018 voter approval of the half-cent surtax to ensure that every dollar is spent fairly and consistently with the original intent of the voters' approval. This report, which will also be posted on the county's website following this meeting, summarizes the completion of the 7th year of sales tax projects, continuing the theme of better roads, more sidewalks, and cleaner rivers. The sales tax continues to generate approximately $15 million per year in revenue that is paid by visitors, tourists, and residents alike. To date, 53 board-approved projects have been completed, and another 37 are in planning and design. I'm proud to say these projects are a collaborative team effort across all the divisions of Public Works. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Ken Kroll, the chairman of our Sales Tax Oversight Committee, to share the findings of the committee. Staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Ken Kroll, and I have the honor of serving as the Chair of the Infrastructure Citizens Oversight Committee, or ISCOC. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. On behalf of my fellow committee members, I'm pleased to present the 6th Annual Infrastructure Surtax Report for the fiscal year of 2024-25 for acceptance by the Board of County Commissioners. This report is presented in the 7th year of the voter-authorized 10-year infrastructure surtax and reflects the county's continued commitment to transparency, accountability, and responsible stewardship of public funds. During the fiscal year, the infrastructure surtax generated over $15.5 million, with contributions coming from residents, visitors, and tourists alike. These funds supported 53 completed projects with 37 additional projects underway or planned, representing a total investment of over $88 million in the community infrastructure across St. Lucie County. As required by the St. Lucie County Resolution 18-240, Section 3A, the ISCOC is charged with preparing an annual report affirming the surtax expenditures comply with the Section 212.055 of the Florida statute and the St. Lucie County Ordinance 18-004. I am pleased to report that the committee was provided with all documentations necessary to perform its review. This allowed us to thoroughly evaluate the status and eligibility of projects undertaken under the Commission-adopted 10-year sales tax plan. Based on our comprehensive review, the ISCOC affirms that the surtax proceeds for 24-25 were expanded in full compliance with the Florida statutes. The approved ballot language and the Commissioner-approved 2018 10-year infrastructure plan. I would like to thank the dedicated members of the ISCOC for their service and commitment. Gail Pike, who's the Vice Chair, Mike Monahan, Jack Doney, Stacy Anoni, Jacob Vincent, Jesse Walker, and Leslie Olson. Their diligence in attending quarterly meetings and actively participating in oversight activities has been instrumental in fulfilling our charge on behalf of the board and the citizens we serve. I would also like to express my appreciation to the Board of County Commissioners for entrusting us with this responsibility and for your continued leadership in improving the quality of life in St. Lucie County. These critical infrastructure investments would not be possible without the surtax. Additionally, I want to recognize the county staff, including Edmund Bass, Patrick Dangan, Chris Lestrange, Jamie Lepret, and Kathy Allheiser for their collaboration and technical support throughout the process. As we move into the final years of the voter-approved infrastructure sales surtax, it is important for the community to recognize what is at stake. This surtax has funded the roadways we depend on, drainage and flood mitigation projects that protect our neighborhoods, and water quality projects, safety improvements that strengthen our county. Without renewal, many of these essential projects would be delayed, discontinued, placing the financial burden solely on the property taxpayers. Renewing the surtax allows the cost to remain shared by residents, businesses, and visitors alike, while preserving a stable, transparent funding source that voters originally endorsed. Continued investment through the surtax helps maintain momentum, public safety, and a quality of life as St. Lucie County continues to grow. I encourage the public to visit the St. Lucie County website and the Board of County Commissioners YouTube page, specifically the half cent project section, for a more comprehensive look at how these funds have positively impacted our community. In closing, I respectfully request the Board of Commissioners accept the fiscal year 2025 Infrastructure Surtax Citizens Oversight Committee Annual Report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here and all of your work. As a reminder that to everyone that's here and watching, the people before you and those that couldn't be here that are a part of this committee, as with all our committees, these are residents that put in their own time. They are not paid. They do it because they love their community and probably because they want to be able to understand government a little bit more. So kudos to all of you and all the time that you guys put in. And I agree, as also a taxpayer, I love the fact that people that come into this county or travel through the county help to fund our roads, our sidewalks, and our rivers. So thank you. Anything else? Any other comments? All right.
Madam Chair, I
Commissioners.
want to remind everybody, thank you for being here, but this is coming up, and it will be on the ballot coming up soon. And I am at peace knowing the people that we have currently on this board serving it. They're constituents and business owners within the community. And yes, we appoint somebody to this board, but I think this is the first time really since this initiative started. We really have grassroots people serving on this board right now. And they're people that are the voices out there in the community. And I know that they've been extremely dedicated, more so than I think people in the past. Not that anybody was any worse, because they all did, but this board currently today in the last year has been a very strong board, and I know that you've been really dedicated. So thank you for all that you do, and I just want everybody to know that you need to think about this, contact us, contact them, because this is coming up for a vote, and we need this to pass again, because it's making it to where we don't have to raise the millage rate, and we can be able to continue the things we're doing. Without this, the things that we've done in this past term of this would have never, ever been possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, and with that, before we proceed with the regular agenda or the regular meeting, I'm going to go ahead and recess into our special districts, and I'll start with the erosion district.
We will come to order now as the erosion district. At this time, if anybody has any general public comment for the erosion district, please come up to the podium. Seeing no one moving toward the podium, we'll close public comment. I'll now ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes for December 9th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Now ask for a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. There's no items on the regular agenda. However, I did speak with Mr. Avord earlier today. He is under the weather. Unfortunately, I hope he gets better soon. I wanted to provide a really brief update on the sand projects that are going on.
The CSRM project is the one that's down south, like the southern portion of Hutchison Island. That project began last weekend. I was told that the contractor ran into some mechanical issues with some of their equipment, so there's been a slight delay. They do anticipate beginning work again tomorrow, January 28th. And that portion of the project is expected to wrap, if all goes well, by March 1st or soon thereafter. Now, the same contractor will be doing the Fort Pierce Jetty project. So that's also known as the Fort Pierce Shores project. Again, it's near the jetty. So once that contractor demobilizes from that portion, they will immediately start on the northern portion. So we're hoping for a March 1st start date on that end or soon thereafter. So looking forward to that. And that is the end of this agenda, so we will go ahead and adjourn.
All right, thank you. I'll bring it over to the Mosquito Control District.
Okay, we come together as the Mosquito Control District. First item of business is public comment. Is there anyone that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing no movement, we will move on to the approval of minutes from December 9th and January 13th. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent?
Madam Chair, I'd like to pull something real
Yep.
quick, please. I'd like to pull item B, and I just think we need to take a few seconds to explain to the residents how this works. So can you enlighten everybody why this came about and why this is important, please?
You're talking about Bear Point mitigation. Is Roger here? Is Roger here to come up?
Terrell's back there.
Okay. Would you mind coming up and just explaining this to the residents on the record?
Sorry, I can't hear.
Was it B1 or C1? I'm sorry, Commissioner.
It's B1.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said C1.
I wasn't.
Okay, yeah, actually, I have an update on that. So you can have a seat. Yep. This is our local bill to expand the mosquito control district. Sorry about that. And actually got an update from Courtney today that it's passed through the second stop through the House. So it's moving favorably. This will expand our mosquito control district to areas further out in Tradition. So I think residents should be, very happy that we are pushing this. It is moving forward favorably, and hopefully it'll be successful by the end of the session.
But, I mean, just to put it in lay terms,
Yep.
because they have a lot of questions, there's districts, kind of like urban service
Yeah.
boundaries. And if you are not in the district of the mosquito control, we can't just say, well, you're the next street over, we're going to go there. It takes a legislative action, and it has to be approved. It has to go to Tallahassee. Commissioner Fowler and I have been dealing with this because actually where this took place, we split that subdivision.
We do.
So it
Separated
is-
by the C24.
Yes. So it's important because there's a lot of people that do watch the meetings to understand that with mosquito control, if you're not getting the service but you want it, it can happen.
process.
As long as you are close, and it can be contiguous, but it does take time and it's illegal. I mean, it has to go through Tallahassee. So I just wanted to make that a point for them to understand.
Yeah, I know living out there at one point, there's been a lot of resident issues, and I'm glad to see that it is moving forward. So hopefully it will be favorable for all of us. Okay, any other discussion on consent?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to regular agenda, there's nothing here to discuss, so motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Thank you, and we're back to our regular agenda, our regular meeting. With that, I will bring it to general public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board under general public comment? Seeing no movement, I'm going to close public comment. And this evening, we do have a proclamation proclaiming January Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Resolution number 26-005, a resolution proclaiming January 2026 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in St. Lucie County, Florida. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida has made the following determinations. Human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery in which human beings are controlled, abused, and exploited for profit through labor and sex. child sex trafficking is the fastest growing crime in the world. Children have become the primary target of traffickers and predators, as reported by the Florida State Alliance to End Human Trafficking. Human trafficking and child sexual exploitation online is happening in our own backyards. Florida ranks third in the nation for human trafficking hotline calls. Local agencies, organizations, businesses, schools, and leaders are connecting to bring an end to this horror of enslaving and abusing children and adults through awareness and equipping citizens to provide tips to local law enforcement. Florida Faith Alliance is providing awareness, videos, and curriculum for children of all ages and teachers to join the sweep of awareness. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida. This board does hereby proclaim January 2026 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in St. Lucie County, Florida. This board urges the citizens of St. Lucie County to attend an area-wide awareness event at Truth Church Saturday, February 21st, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Hosted through Voices for Children and multiple organizations for families to equip parents, grandparents, and concerned citizens to eliminate child trafficking and help empower citizens to recognize the signs, turn in tips, and save lives. Passed and duly adopted this 27th day of January 2026.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This evening with us, we have Lynn Barletta. She's the founder and CEO of UACT, which is United Against Child Trafficking, and the Florida Faith Alliance Group. Prior to Ashley Moody leaving us, she created something called the 100% Club. And I am so grateful that Lynn introduced me to that. And last year, St. Lucie County joined the city of Port St. Lucie in becoming one of the first counties in Florida to get that 100% Club certification, the first county. And we are just so happy to be a part of that. And it takes a village. And as a mom of a 2.5-year-old, I want to know that everyone in the community is trained to spot and report something. So thank you for all you do.
so much. Yes, thank you.
So after you say a few words, please come up and take a photo with us.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair Fowler and County Commissioners. I'm Chaplain David Thompson. I know most of you, I work with our Sheriff's Office, been there for the last 20 years. And I'm also an active participant for helping with the anti-trafficking work that Florida Faith Alliance has done for the last 3 years. We are changing our name in 2026 to United Against Child Trafficking with the acronym UACT. I'd like to introduce the CEO and founder of UACT and the recipient of the 2004 Florida Attorney General Community Advocate of the Year, Lynn Barletta. Lynn?
Thank you. Thank you, Chaplain Dave. I just want to personally thank the St. Lucie County Commissioners, especially Chair Fowler and, Chair Fowler and also Commissioner Lowry. And you have supported, you have trained, you have stood with us. We want to thank you so much for that. And this is a tremendous effort that you have led the way in. UACT is a premier nonprofit, not just making a difference, but actually providing solutions to human trafficking, especially child trafficking, with a growing boots on the ground force of leaders and survivors and task forces. The new AI technology means that predators and traffickers are bombarding children thousands of times per second on trending gaming platforms like Roblox, through apps like Snapchat, Wiz, Discord, Yubo, Perb, and many more that have to be constantly updated as bots are programmed to seek children, draw them into disappearing chat rooms, form relationships with them, and talk them into sexting, sextortion, and even suicide. We must inform parents. We must engage our entire community to end this horrific crime. We work with Indian River School District, also with Martin County School District, looking forward to coming to St. Lucie School District. So also, pornography, sexting, and sextortion is the fastest growing gateway opening children up to child trafficking in every public school. So it's very important that we get there. So we're excited to introduce a comprehensive training program called Don't Take the Bait. And this is curriculum for students and teachers. And we just want to thank you for really being the leading city and the leading county in the whole state of Florida. And we even want to take this nationwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for everything you do.
Hello, I'm James Billig, Chief Compliance Officer and Agency Liaison. I lead the retired Law Enforcement UACT Blue Task Force. Our mission is to train local law enforcement through a 90-minute in-service training block followed by monthly real-time intel updates on the latest trends, online threats, case studies, and the rapidly growing reach of the 764 cult on our youth throughout the community and throughout the globe. Our intelligence is obtained through our nationwide partnerships with professionals, local homeland security, and traffic survivors who are subject matter experts that provide invaluable life experience information to identify victims and predators. During the week of February 9th, we will be kicking off our program training through all personnel who are sworn at the City of Stuart. Our goal is to apply our training and technology program throughout the 19th Judicial and the rest of the nation to create a single silo of real-time information to take this fight to the predator's front door. We have documented over 60 arrests on the Treasure Coast over the past 18 months, assisting local agencies. We look to increase that number tenfold and make the 19th the proactive standard of the United States. We are committed to ending the travesty and protecting our children. We thank you very much for your commitment to do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. I'm Tony Barletta, and I'm leading the Men's Warrior Task Force. This is Joel Bailey, who is filming us right now. Joel is a survivor of sex trafficking, and he is part of our Warrior Task Force. And together, we're taking a stand for our children. So it's time for us to unite and fight all of human trafficking. And on that, I say thank you.
And we only have one thing to say when it comes to child exploitation and child trafficking, and that is not on our watch. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
If you have questions, we're glad to answer.
Thank you. Come on up here for a photo. Eric will move you around. Eric's like, someone should have gotten a picture of that. Yeah. Thank you again. Hey, how are you? Okay. There are no approval of the minutes. Consent agenda. Anyone wanting to pull anything, discuss anything? If not, is there a
Move
motion?
approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving into public hearings, OMB.
Did she do the approval of the agenda? Although, she didn't do that.
Madam Chair, while they're doing this, do you want to
Yes.
go back and do the roll call for the agenda approval? Item 5.
Yeah, that wasn't, she didn't do that one.
Ah, my sticky was covering it, sorry. It was actually my sticky to talk about mosquito control. Is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Jennifer Hill, Management and Budget Director, and with me is Jennifer Garrity, Budget Manager. This is a public hearing related to an amendment to the fiscal year '26 budget. With the fiscal year 2025 complete, staff has calculated the current beginning balances of all of the county's funds. Therefore, we are recognizing additional balance forward that was not appropriated in the current year's budget. Also adjusting interfund transfers related to these balances and recognizing other unanticipated revenue. This resolution establishes the fiscal year 26 budget for unanticipated revenue totaling $412,067,471, which includes approximately $274 million in capital project balances reconciliations and $22 million in existing grant match obligations. And it also appropriates these balances to their applicable funds and budgets. This public hearing was advertised on Thursday, January 22nd, and staff recommends approval of the budget resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 budget.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing no movement, I'll close public comment, come back to the board. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
ladies. With that, we move into Public Works. It's all you tonight, Chris.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Chris Lestrange, Assistant Public Works Director. I'll be pinching this one in the next item for Patrick. His out-of-state travel plans got fouled by some of the winter weather we've been having, so he's taking a snow day today. This first public hearing, these items are related items. The first item is the roadway jurisdiction transfer agreement between FDOT and St. Lucie County. This agreement authorizes the parties to enter into an agreement for certain roadway corridors to be taken off the state highway system and certain corridors to be taken onto the state highway system. The county and FDOT have requested the transfer of the following 4 roads. Number 1, State Route 607, Emerson Avenue, from State Route 614, Indrio Road, to the Indian River County line is requested to be transferred off of the state highway system and onto the county road system. Number 2, State Route 615, North 25th Street, from County Route 611B, Edwards Road, to US 1, State Route 5, is requested to be transferred off of the state highway system onto the county system. Number 3, County Route 712, Midway Road, from I-95 to US 1, State Route 5, is proposed to be transferred onto the state highway system and removed from the county's road system. County Route 614, Indrio Road, from State Route 713, Kings Highway, to US 1, State Route 5, is proposed to be transferred onto the state highway system and removed from the county system. I don't see my graphic here. Thank you. These roadways are depicted on the graphic in front of you. The roadways have been considered for addition onto the state system based on the function and category of these roadways, including but not limited to connection to the strategic intermodal system corridors and facilities, evacuation routes, and location of critical facilities. Both Indiro Road and Midway Road connect to 2 major roadways, including US 1 and I-95. Conversely, roadway corridors that lack these certain qualifiers are requested to be transferred from FDOT to the county for perpetual ownership and maintenance. The agreement will transfer jurisdictional ownership and maintenance of all roadway elements. For transfers off the state highway system, the transfer will occur upon satisfactory completion of work program projects along these corridors on North 25th Street and Emerson. For transfers on the state system, Indrio Road will transfer upon final execution of this agreement by all parties. Midway Road will transfer between Jenkins Road and US 1 upon final execution of this agreement. The section of Midway between I-95 and Jenkins will remain county responsibility until the notice to proceed is issued for the 4-lane road widening project between Glades Cutoff Road and Jenkins Road, including the southbound turnpike ramps. This is expected to occur in mid-2027. The county will continue to maintain the enhanced median landscaping and provide right-of-way mowing along Midway Road, as these are non-standard enhancements along the corridor. Enhanced landscaping and street lighting along North 25th Street, generally beginning at State Route 70, Virginia Avenue, are currently maintained by the City of Fort Pierce under highway maintenance agreements that automatically transfer with the transfer of road ownership. It is the county's intention to continue to obligate the city to maintain these improvements at the city's expense in accordance with the existing agreements. Portions of Midway Road were widened to 4 lanes using federal funds, which requires the county to enter into a maintenance agreement with FDOT in order to remain compliant with federal regulations. The existing FEC rail crossing along Midway Road, located just to the east of Glades Cutoff Road, will remain the responsibility of the county based on the terms of the current license agreement between the county and FEC until such time as DOT and FEC negotiate and sign a new agreement. And the second companion item to this is concerning that item. Staff has reviewed the agreement and finds that mutual benefits are gained by the transfer of these roadways. In coordination with FDOT personnel, staff recommends approval of the agreement and the associated resolutions. County staff and FDOT staff are present to answer any questions the board may have. And staff is recommending approval and adoption of the resolutions.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing no movement, close public comment, come back to the board.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and Chris really already did an explanation of 11B2, so I will just
Open up.
open this item for, thank you, for public comment. This item is also public comment. Anyone wishing to address us on this item? Seeing no movement, close public comment.
Move approval.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Cosby?
before they all leave, I just want to make sure we're saying the quiet part out loud. It's a big deal that we're transferring from 25th Street on, off of the state system and then Midway's going on, because we would much rather the state pay for the bridge and other features on Midway Road. So, and also, if you don't mind, while we have our Public Works folks here, could you give us a very brief update on what's going on with Midway Road? I know we talked to my office about how they're about to start diverting traffic to the other side, that sort of thing. Is there a way you could give the public a quick update?
Thank you, Chair. Dan Zarelli, County Engineer. Commissioner Clasby, I don't really have more information than that, other than they are preparing to transfer traffic. They haven't given us a date that I'm aware of, but it'll be soon. I mean, there's a lot of inspections that have to occur. We look at safety, MOT, all that stuff before it happens. So I don't have a date for you, but they are preparing for that.
And good evening, Chair. Good evening, Board. Chris Karras, FDOT Treasure Coast Operations Engineer. I'm assuming you're referring to the section of Midway Road that's under construction right now?
Correct.
All right, they have made that switch roughly a week ago to switch over to the newly constructed configuration. At this point, we are going to be constructing reconstructing the portion that was the old Midway Road main line, so that we can get to the 4-lane section. So that transfer and that switch has already occurred. And if you're driving that corridor, you're actually driving on the structural asphalt that will be in place throughout the future of this roadway. But there will be friction cores placed on top of it when that portion of the project occurs.
Okay. I just get a lot of questions about Midway Road. I know we all do. And while it looks like there's not action taking place, there's behind the scenes approvals and permitting and inspections and that sort of thing happening. So hope to see some action soon.
and a lot of utility relocations that took place as well, including the large box culvert that was placed under the newly constructed portion.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, it's important to note also, I know people like to blame us and blame DOT, but a lot of the Midway Road corridor, the problem, the holdup was the contractor. The contractor was the one not providing the services he was supposed to. So it was not DOT that had the issue there, with the contractor.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
County Attorney Barbieri.
Chair, Commissioners, for the record, County Attorney Catherine Barbieri. We have on here the opioid litigation proposed settlement with Publix. This has been ongoing for several years. We have settled with several other entities out there, and we are going to use the money to fight opioids in St. Lucie County. And we have a recommendation now from our outside counsel. We joined a group for class action that we settled with Publix, and we are recommending that you approve the settlement and authorize the chair to sign any necessary documents.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner Townsend?
When are we going to start spending some of this money for the programs and stuff? Because every time I've inquired, nobody can give a straight answer. So I know that there's programs out there needed, and there's a lot of money, millions. So when is some of it going to start to be spent?
So, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'll try to provide a straight answer on this one, and that is that early December we had to redo the opioid committee, the funding committee, because when we received submittals, just about everybody on the committee had some sort of potential conflict with one of the submittals of those agencies, and we didn't want to discontinue any of those agencies from being able to receive these funds. So by restructuring that, and it required it come to you all to redo it, then we had to notify the agencies, get those people together. Simultaneously, while that was happening, through our current contract with the health department, they were reviewing all of those RFP submittals, and they were qualifying them all to come back to the committee, which is supposed to be taking place probably in the next 30 to 60 days once we can get a quorum for that committee with the new committee put together. That'll come before them. They'll make the recommendation to award to all of the responding ones that qualify, and then we'll be putting that on a next item back to the board to come for you for ratification of that recommendation. And then with that, we can go right into contracting and issuing out this first round years of disbursements out to those agencies to get going.
Okay, thanks.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Clasby.
Just to kind of tag on that, because that wasn't immediately apparent to me, and so maybe not for the folks listening, could you just remind us, what is this money exactly used for, just in plain English?
It's used to help combat the opioid issues within the county, and it's used in multiple different ways for actual direct services like what they call MAT, which is like some sort of treatments for those that are trying to get off of opioids, as well as some trainings, as well as some other types of programs. And there's a handful of nonprofits and profits that are around 9 to 10 that's submitted for this revenue, and all of them have the opportunity to use this to enhance the funds that they're doing, and it'll provide a more expansive treatment, because some of these places charge money to folks, and we want to be able to get it out there where there's no, where it's free to the people that need to get healthy.
Sure. Thank you.
And that's all came from lawsuits that started with the Attorney General's office at the state. That started the program. We joined, and we're one of 20-some counties that are what's considered a regional recipient of the money. Not all 67 counties are in a regional component, so we get funds to the county, the cities get funds, but we also get this regional pot, and that's why we had to erect this committee and go through this extensive process, because the state's kind of controlling that, because that's a large sum of money that's paid over 18 years that the county will receive as a part of a regional settlement, separate from the individual funds that each municipality receives.
Thank you. Just for the record, I was aware of what we used the money for. I just want to make sure that we're getting the right information out there, and if we're ready, I'd motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion.
I have a comment, because I know this was before y'all were elected, James. So this was a class action lawsuit that Cynthia Angelo's law firm handled for us, and we joined it with a couple other counties. And so this was a big deal because we won, and it's millions and millions and millions of dollars. And with some of the programs that have been cut at a state level, our jail, New Horizons, a lot of our mental counseling here in the county, or whatever, this could be going to provide a lot of services for people. And we've had the money now, and it's just not ever been put out there and used. So, and I know that there was some, like what Mr. Landry had said, but I didn't know where we were at the tail end of this or whatever. So, because this money has just been sitting there in limbo and it's not being used, and there's people needing the services and people providing the services that have fallen behind because they don't have the funding to keep their doors open.
One thing I can say too, last year when I was on the Public Safety Council, we know obviously the Department of Health is the administrator of this, but you know, our public defender had come in for that meeting and, you know, was like, when are we going to start being able, but at that point in time, we were still waiting on instructions from the state as to exactly how it could be used. So it's been slow across.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration.
There's-
The public defender's office, state attorney, some of the Journey Forward, the programs that, some of the things that Diamond's office does, the Life Builders Board, because that's what they do, is they treat, you know, drug abuse and mental illness. So everybody's just want to know where the money is and why isn't it moving, because they don't understand all the depth that goes behind it.
100%. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Ben. We get to see what you've been up to. As though we don't have a great idea of that already, but all the extras now.
Good evening, Chair Fowler and Commissioners. Ben Balser, Planning and Development Services Director. For the record, tonight I am here to present the items that received administrative approvals during the month of December. The first project is a minor adjustment to a site plan for the Creekside PUD. The developer is planning on adding temporary parking and landscaping for their sales offices and model homes within parcels C, D, and E of the project. The paved parking will meet the county's dimensional requirements, and it includes ADA spaces with sidewalk connectivity and landscape screening. Next is another minor adjustment to a PUD site plan. This time it's for the Estancia PUD, which is located on the west side of 25th Street, just south of Cortez Boulevard. The PUD was approved in 2007. It is currently under construction, and the adjustment increases the width of the driveways for the townhome units from 10 and 14 feet to 16 feet in order to accommodate 2 vehicle spaces. The adjustment also added concrete patios to the rear of the duplex and triplex buildings and covered canopies to the townhome units. It also incorporated the final design for the community pool and playground area. The next approval is a minor site plan known as Exotic Motor Mansion Storage Facility. This is a project that includes 5 buildings totaling 86,400 square feet of industrial flex space. It's on 5.8 acres just on the south side of St. Lucie Boulevard, east of Keene Road, close to our Treasure Coast International Airport. The project includes 30 storage units and 2 specialty contractor suites, as well as a members clubhouse and a break room. The project will be open to private members and is designed to provide climate-controlled spaces for their vehicles where they can store and work on them. The storage bays will have a mezzanine level for equipment storage, and overnight accommodation is not permitted, and that will be documented within their membership bylaws or their condo docs. And the last approval is the major adjustment to the minor site plan for FPL's Clover Solar Generation Station. It's located a mile east of Minute Maid Road, just south of the Florida Turnpike. The adjustment adds an 85-acre battery storage area that's adjacent to the approved solar generation station. FPL has recently proposed these battery storage stations in order to accept the solar generation energy in order to feed power to FPL's distribution grid during non-energy producing hours in order to maintain a consistent flow of energy regardless of the time of day. And that concludes the administrative approvals for the month of December. If you have any questions, I'm available.
All right, any questions? Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, and with that, our last regular agenda item, Public Works.
Evening, Dan.
Thank you, Chair Fowler. Eric, can you help us pull up the presentation? Stormwater Master Plan.
Is it on there?
Maybe not. I've got it on jump drive. You need it.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we don't want you spoiled and get out of here too early tonight, so we got to slow it down a little bit, so.
I see that.
I have it on jump drive.
It's on the jump drive.
I have it on jump drive.
We usually have it forwarded to us.
Boot up my computer, but yeah.
I'm going to create a little dramatic effect for the stormwater final adoption of the master plan.
While we get ready, I'll give you a little background. Back in, I think, October, we came to the board at the informal and kind of gave you guys an update on where we were with the Stormwater Master Plan. It was a 2-year project. It started off with, and some of this will be repeated, so I apologize, but I'm buying time. We collected a lot of input from commissioners, from the cities, South Florida Water Management District, the local 498 districts, and the public. We had several public workshops along in the process to gather input. Where do we have flooding? Where do people experience excessive rainfall issues, drainage issues? And then in that, we kind of identified basins within the county that we wanted to focus on based on that input. Our consultant Tetra Tech did modeling countywide. We collected other models from our neighboring communities like City of Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, incorporated them into our model, and then we ran the model for various model storms to plan for sea level rise, different storms to see how it behaves in different areas. We identified areas that were problematic. Some of them we knew about, some of them we didn't know so much about. In that process, we went back to the community, showed them what we had, and gathered more input, and then refined the model. And then through that process, we identified a list of projects that will inform us moving forward on where we need the most help the fastest. So instead of just going out and attacking problems, we now have a comprehensive master plan for the county that's based on data and modeling and input from the community. And we identified a list of projects now that we can go after as we get funding, we can program them, and we can plan to do them now. So the last time we updated this master plan was in 1992. The modeling back then was nothing like it is nowadays. So we've did a pretty remarkable update to the Stormwater Master Plan. If we ever get the presentation going, you'll get to see it.
And so this is Marcy Frick with Tetra Tech. I apologize for the complications this evening. We did present, as Dan mentioned, in October. The plan has not changed. We did have public workshops at the end of October and early November. We had an in-person meeting and several webinars. We did not receive substantial comments, so the plan did not change. So what you're seeing tonight is very similar to what we presented in October. And part of our team as well, I'll point out while we're working on killing some time. We also have
The Firefly Group, they're here tonight. They helped organize all of the public engagement. We had a series of 3 public workshops throughout the development of the plan. So the original set was in November of 2023 to get feedback on where the public was seeing areas of flooding and concern. And then we were able to use that to help validate some of the modeling that Dan was talking about. We met again in March of 2025, once we had narrowed down some of the areas we wanted to focus on to get feedback on the types of projects we were looking at. And then that final round was in end of October, early November of, thank you, of 25 to get the feedback on the draft plan. And then we also have Erin L. Dede on the team. She did a review of the county's comp plan and ordinances to see where modifications could be made to help support what we found in the stormwater master plan. So I did a little bit of background, which I think Dan covered a lot of already, but the current year plan is 1992. Obviously a lot of development and changes have occurred in the county since then. There's a variety of stormwater management issues, some of which the county has already been addressing and others still have a need. There's also a lot of future development coming, and so wanted to look at not only on where there were existing problems, but where there may be some future stormwater management that needed to be addressed as development occurred. And then there's also opportunities to increase resilience, and that regional resilience plan was part of your consent agenda, so that tied in nicely to those activities as well. The plan also addresses several items from the county strategic plan, including recommending improvements to the stormwater infrastructure, supporting environmental protection through water quality improvements. So we were looking not only where we could help reduce flooding, but also make improvements to that water quality, and then enhances public safety by reducing flooding. So we have been working through a series of tasks that are now all completed. So the first one was the data collection that Dan was mentioning with the interviews with the commissioners, each of the cities, water control districts, the water management district. We went through a lot of the county's files, went through permit files that the water management district had, and gathered as much as we could about the existing stormwater infrastructure that was then used in task 2 for the modeling, and I'll talk about that on another slide. The results from the data collection and the interviews, as well as the modeling, fed into the identification of the capital improvement projects that were then screened and developed into the final stormwater master plan as part of task 4. And then concurrently with that, as I mentioned, we held a series of public workshops throughout to obtain feedback as we were developing. And then we also had that ordinance analysis for recommendations on increasing stormwater management and resiliency in the comp plan and codes of ordinance. So the first step in the project was to divide the county into smaller basins, and this allowed us to really focus on where we were seeing current stormwater management issues and where development was coming, where we wanted to focus. And so based on the information we gathered from the interviews, we had a public survey where they were able to provide us pictures and drop pins on a map of where they were seeing flooding. We defined the areas that really needed better stormwater management, and those are shown on green on this map. And that helped us narrow down as well to select the top 5 priority basins that had the most critical issues we wanted to focus on. So we did use a combination of where there were existing problems, and then also where there was development coming in that Northeast County area, as well as the C23 and C24 to the southwest. For the modeling, we developed individual stormwater models for each of those 5 basins, and we ran different scenarios. So the first step was existing conditions. So we used information on the current land uses, which were the most recent at the time from about 2020. They included the stormwater infrastructure that was currently in place that we gathered from the county's files, as well as the city's and water control districts and the water management district. And then we used current rainfall amounts for the different design storms to see where there was flooding, and again, use that information from the interviews to kind of validate the model. We also then ran future conditions using the county's 2040 land use coverage, which is what is shown here on the map. We added large-scale regional stormwater management projects that the water management district is implementing that'll have really change how water is moved in the county. And then we looked at future rainfall and sea level rise projections to see where additional flooding may occur in the future. So from all of that effort, we identified what was initially 132 locations in the county that, in those 5 basins that had some flooding issues that we should be looking at. We screened those further, looking at whether they were in an area of concern, which of those areas were identified from the interviews. The road size, whether it was a large, main thoroughfare that was needed for evacuations that was flooding, or whether it was more of a smaller scale neighborhood road. We looked at the stage change, that was basically how much was expected to, the flooding was expected to increase compared existing to future conditions, as well as the expected flooding depths. And so from that, we were able to narrow that 132 locations down to 41 potential locations, which are, actually, I believe this is the full 131, but those 41 locations were then all evaluated for potential projects. So this slide shows that 41 locations. We then narrowed down potential project options by looking at a very long list of factors, including who owned the parcels, if it was something that the county or city owned, that was easier to implement than if it was private and needed to be acquired. Again, whether it was in that area of concern that had been identified in the interviews, the number of buildings in the floodplain that would be addressed by controlling that flooding, the depth of the water inundation that was expected based on the modeling, the flood prevention and reduction benefit estimated by the model, the runoff reduction benefit, so again, trying to capture some of that water. Where possible, we looked at those water quality benefits. We also looked at how close a project was to a floodplain or a stream. And then we looked at just some of the practical considerations of the capital cost of the project, how the complexity of designing and constructing it, how much of a maintenance burden it would be, the environmental and habitat benefits from implementing the project, and funding potential to make sure the project could get constructed. And so the Stormwater Master Plan includes high-level concept designs for the selected projects. There's 23 of them total. And so these all include estimated runoff reduction benefits based on that modeling, nutrient reduction estimates using factors that are consistent with how the Florida Department of Environmental Protection evaluates project, as well as estimated costs. Before moving forward, there will need to be some additional information gathered just to verify that the feasibility of that project in that area, so additional survey or geotechnical data collection, use that to refine the project design, update the benefits, and then the estimated costs. And then the plan does include a 20-year horizon, and the projects are divided into the first 10 years and the second 10 years. They don't have a priority. It really will be dependent on funding and opportunities, but what we did is the ones in the first 10 years are in areas that have those existing flooding, so where we're already seeing that today, where there's development, and then the second 10 years is where we're expecting those future flooding concerns as development continues. So the projects did not change from what was in the draft plan that you all reviewed in October, so I won't spend a lot of time on these, but they vary by basin. So this one is in the Northeast County Basin, and this is really an area where a lot of development is coming. So you'll see the second project is in the first 10 years where we had an existing flooding issue, but the rest is really looking forward as development occurs where that's going to be needed. They vary in price and scale just depending on the opportunities in each area. Moving south to the White City Lower North Fork Basin, this is obviously a developed area. We had quite a few areas of concern, so all of the recommended projects are in the first 10 years of the plan. Again, and they vary from something small like adding catch basins to help moving water to larger scale wet ponds and swales to capture more of that runoff. In the upper 10 Mile Creek Basin, we have 2 projects, and one is along Trowbridge Road that's recommended for the first 10 years where there's some existing flooding, and then along 11 Mile Road is in the second 10 years where there's predicted flooding. 10 Mile Creek has the largest number of projects. You can see how they're arranged here on the map. They are a mixture of existing flooding areas that were identified, and those are usually closer to the river, and then some that are in the second 10 years as development continues to occur in this part of the county. And then the final areas, C23, C24, there's not a lot of development there yet. But this is a part of the county that is growing. But there is one existing flooding concern right now on Carlton Road, so that was recommended to be addressed in the first 10 years of the plan. In addition to those 5 basins, we also identified recommendations that could be implemented countywide. So during our interviews and public meetings, we did hear a lot of concerns about operation and maintenance. So there were some recommendations for improvements, and the first one was continuing to promote the county's culvert assistance program. The driveway culverts tend to be a big bottleneck in the stormwater system, so making sure those are functioning properly. And then we did hear that there was a lot of need for better maintenance of the ditches and swales to keep the water flowing. We also had recommendations in there to expand the county's existing education and outreach programs to help people understand the need for the plan and how they can participate and help manage stormwater. And then, as I mentioned, Aaron L. Dede provided a review of the comp plan and code of ordinances to provide some recommendations related to stormwater management and resilience. And some of those recommendations have already been vetted with the county and I think are moving forward. And so that is a high-level overview of the plan.
Fantastic, thank you. It did not go unnoticed that a lot of those proposed projects are within the first 10 years, and a lot of those are in District 4, so. Questions, comments? No?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Glasby.
So the first stormwater master plan update since 1992. I'm old enough to remember 1992. You know, it helps. I know our public works department's well aware of the projects they're continuing to work on. These are already all in their hopper. But for someone like me and the public, it helps to put it together to see where our needs are, and hopefully some state legislators if they want to give us some money for some of these too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so with that, is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. I know it's been a long process. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, and coming to the end of the meeting, commissioner comments.
I have a comment. It's just on the next informal meeting, we have on there about the lots on US 1. I'm confirming, do we?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, yes, that is on there, as well as an airport update.
Airport update, okay.
Comprehensive one.
All right, and then I know some of y'all were following the ethics violation complaint. It came back unfounded, as I knew it would. So I hope now that we can all move forward with the witch hunt ending and we can stick to the people's business moving forward. Thank you.
Any other commissioners?
I'd just like to bring to the public's attention that we had a meeting with Port St. Lucie and are planning on having a meeting with the city of Fort Pierce, trying to sync the 3 municipalities and to keep everyone informed and hopefully continue the growth of the county in a smart, manageable way. And looking forward to the next meeting and continuing that relationship.
Thank you.
I second that.
Any other commissioner comments? No, I'm good. Yeah, I would say ditto. I think that was a very productive joint meeting. We all walked away with essentially additional homework assignments and a plan. So it was definitely, it felt different than other meetings.
It did amaze me that for the last many years, the 3 municipalities didn't talk that much, and it was pretty evident, and
That's
I think
not true.
greatly appreciated with the people that I had spoken with. That was pretty much the general consensus on it. But again, moving forward, it looks like it's hopefully going to work out better and move the county forward in a great direction.
Madam Chair, we have had joint meetings. Y'all have been here 3 years, all but last year. The 2 years prior to that, we had joint meetings with the city. So in the past, there's always been a good relationship. The year that we didn't do it, yes, we had fallen backwards and there was some distension put into place. But the 2 years prior to that, the meetings were very good and they were very positive. We even had them with the St. Lucie Village Board and the Fort Pierce Board. So we've had, this is something staff and the board has done. It's not something that just started this year. So I know that is something that the newspaper printed, and I just think it's important for the residents to know this isn't something we just started this year. It's been ongoing for a couple of years now.
No, I know Commissioner Lee and I were part of the one joint meeting that right after we got in with Port St. Lucie that we held at IRSC, but
Yeah.
it just felt more like an informal.
No, I
whereas-
agree.
You know what I mean? Just, yeah.
The others were,
But
I think,
yes, we
two-
have absolutely
They were two,
met.
like, they were at the college, and we even did them, if you remember, we even did them with Martin County and Indian River.
That's
We've
right.
even had meetings with that,
Yep.
that it was all three counties, we were all in a room together, right?
Absolutely.
And they were not personal and personable.
Yep.
Where this last meeting, I think we're all 10 on the same page, and I think we're in a much better place.
Agreed.
Madam Chair.
Agreed. Commissioner Cosby.
You know, I think part of the success of that meeting, because I agree, it seemed very successful, it was great communication, was the facilitator of it. Now, this is, I believe, our second time using that particular vendor, and don't remember the name off the top of my head, but
SGR.
SGR. Yeah, no, I think that we should definitely consider using them in the future for a meeting with Fort Pierce and make that meeting with Port St. Lucie an annual thing. I believe that we even have a follow-up meeting based off of what we were talking about at that meeting. So looking forward to more enhanced cooperation with the municipalities.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and with that, Mr. Landry, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. The Board of County Commissioners will hold a regular meeting on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in these commission chambers. And the board will also hold an informal meeting on Tuesday, February 10th at 9 a.m. here in these commission chambers located at 2300 Virginia Avenue here in Fort Pierce. And Eric will close us out with the last two announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. Timely reminder that St. Lucie County's aquatic staff host aquafit classes at the Lakewood Park Pool every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Admission is $5 per class. These classes are designed for adults. The aquafit classes are low-impact workouts conducted in the shallow, zero-entry, temperature-controlled pool and are designed to improve muscle strength, joint stability, coordination, and heart conditioning. Lakewood Park Pool is located at 5990 Emerson Avenue in Fort Pierce. It just might be a little cold getting out of the pool this week. But St. Lucie County's Parks and Rec staff is also offering a new Tiny Tots track and field program every Tuesday and Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. at Longwood Stadium throughout February. The agenda says 10:30, but since the agenda was published, staff have moved that back to the afternoon. This program is designed for ages 6 and younger. Activities include relay races, beanbag and ball tosses, hula hoop jumps, story time, and more. Parents are asked to stay on site during these activities. The cost is $5 per student per session, and pre-registration and payment are required by visiting the county's website, stlucieco.gov/parks.
Thank you. All right, and with that, meeting adjourned.